In today's episode, today in World War II, April 20th, the Brits in Norway take a knife to a gunfight. The highest scoring Allied ace of the war is killed over Greece. The good news and bad news for the Allies on Malta. The RAF plans a special celebration for Hitler's 54th birthday. Soviet artillery celebrates Hitler's 56th and last birthday. And the French beat the American army. Vive la France! Let's get started. On April 20th, 1940, in Norway, this, I don't know, clown show, I suppose, continues. I made fun of the French a couple days ago about sending mountain troops to a mountainous area with no skis, mules, or anything else. Um, I'm not, so now it's the Brits' turn. Uh, so in Namsos, Norway, the Luftwaffe had been carrying out very effective strikes against them. They went after the docks and they destroyed large quantities of British supplies and equipment. And the Brits couldn't do hardly anything because the enemy fighter support didn't have much in the way of anti-aircraft support. But the Brits decided, you know what? We're going to take this seriously and we're going to take a knife to a gunfight. So what do they do? They sent 18 biplanes, Gladiator biplanes, to escape a flow where they would be ferried to Norway by the HMS Glorious aircraft carrier. Because when you fight ME-110 and ME-109 aircraft, you want to send biplanes, right? Okay. On April 20th, 1941, the Germans heavily bombed Athens. Luckily, they did not hit the Parthenon. But one of the British pilots, was shot down. His name was Marmaduke Pat Paddle. Unofficially, he was the leading scorer in any anti-Allied army, believed to have gotten at least 50 kills. Why is he unrecognized? Because he was not able, his service record in Greece was lost. Wow. Talk about adding insult to injury. You fight courageously, at least posthumously, at least his relatives could be comforted by that a little bit, to know that he gave everything and gave more than his own to defeat the enemy, and his service record's lost. So it's like, our bad, sorry. Good news and bad news. On Malta, April 20th, 1942, the Allies were able to launch from aircraft carriers, 48 Spitfire aircraft fighter planes to Malta. And because the Spitfire, I mean, the Hurricanes were useless at this time of the war. It had to be Spitfires or nothing. They were being worn down, so they had to have periodic resupply of new fighters and fighter pilots to be stationed there. That's the good news. That's fantastic news. Bad news is that they were almost immediately destroyed on the ground. Oops. On April 20th, 1943, I'm gonna call this the tale of two birthdays for Herr Hitler. In 43, the RAF marked his 54th birthday by bombing Berlin and three other cities. And I'm going to jump forward to 1945 here, because in 45, the same day, in 45, April 20th, the Soviet artillery began bombarding Berlin on Hitler's 56th birthday, his last one, thank God. So the Germans generals were pleading with him to relocate to the south, but he was going to stick it out in Berlin, and he made Admiral Dönitz his commander-in-chief when he left, his successor. And then finally on April 20th, 1945, the French beat the Americans. And what you think? Well, okay. There was a friendly competition going on between the United States Army and the French, to who would get to Stuttgart and take it first. Well, I tell you what, the French Fifth Armored Division took that seriously, and they overcame fanatical resistance from German SS units, and they got through so fast with their armor that it took a day before their infantry could catch up. But all that mattered was that they beat the Americans, and all I can say is formidable. And that's it for me today. I will talk to you later.